This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Sun comes up with a burning glow, shines down on paradise below. I'm talking about the Bahamas, you know, a beautiful archipelago. Now go, 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 brag about we beauty. Tell them we friendly. Oh, tell them we proud of we country. Tell them they could come.
Good yawning this morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Wednesday, the 26th of November, 2025, and you are on the clock with Una Hasty, Veronica Lotmore Green. That's right. Today I am who I am. I am the product of suffragettes. I am the product of women who were involved in the suffragette movement. My paternal grandmother, Una Hasty, and my paternal grand aunt, Veronica Lotmore, two women that were documented as being a part of the suffrage movement and were recognized as such in the 2023 50th Independence Anniversary celebration of the women's movement and suffragettes. Today, Wednesday, the 26th of November, 2025, is the 63rd anniversary of women's suffrage in the Bahamas. Good morning and welcome back as we start the show. It is an open line this morning, but I tell you, all I want to talk about is the history of women's suffrage in the Bahamas, the history of the Bahamas through the lens, I guess, of the women's suffrage movement. I was not there, so I don't know the details. And we certainly, as a collective, do not know enough about the women's suffrage movement and that time. But we have a documentary by Marion Bethel Wise, A Women. It is a expose on the women's suffrage movement. I was supposed to bring my copy with me today to the studio. I attempted to give it away because not enough of us have seen it. However, I'm sure it's going to be broadcasting this week and probably this weekend as a part of National Women's Week. So, yesterday, the 25th of November, was the International Day to Eliminate Violence Against Women and Girls. It marked the first day of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Today, day 2, 16 days of activism, is a local celebration. Day 2, the 26th of November, again, the anniversary of women's suffrage in the Bahamas. The anniversary commemorates the first time Bahamian women voted in an election, and the week of November 26th is recognized as National Women's Week, with events and services held to honor the suffrage movement. I'm going to get into the details in a second, but I see we got a caller right away. Of course, the numbers to call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and 242-300-5720. Good morning, caller.
God, they just start giving up voice along with you, Erin.
Good morning.
Morning. I have a problem with the court, magistrate court. They won't charge me more than once to okay, I took somebody to court, right?
Right, so to deliver the summons?
Well, I had it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I paid to have it delivered. Okay. The boy didn't come to court. They want me to pay again,
Mm-hmm.
pay again to in order to take him to court, and pay again for have the summons served. Now, I don't think that was right.
Listen, Bremen, I don't think it is right either. Apparently, the protocols that existed, this is a legitimate scheme. And I calling it a scheme, right? Because now it's a legitimate scheme, but if a summons is issued by the court, 'cause I don't issue the summons. I don't get up and write a letter and summons people to my court or my house. If the court issues a summons for someone to attend court, why is it that I have to pay an officer of the court to deliver said summons? Now, I know it's possible that you may not be able to deliver the summons, but you should show evidence of your attempt to deliver the summons. And with technology now, you could use a smartphone, right? Because pictures have metadata that'll tell you when and where the picture was taken, to document your attempts to deliver the summons to the individual that the court has said is required to come forward.
Okay, Erin?
Yeah.
Knowing that I've experienced that, and I don't think it was right for me to have to be paying paying money to the court over and over just because the guy hadn't came to court. That's not my problem.
I'm agreeing with you, Bremen.
Okay, what I'm saying also, right?
Mm-hmm.
This way, continue.
Oh, wait, no, don't talk about the individual. We're not going to prejudice your case. Yeah, let's not do that. But that's one of the issues I had on the table, right? We're going to be talking over the next 16 days, at the very least till the 10th of December, which is International Human Rights Day, right? This issue of having to pay a police officer to have a summons, a court document delivered, has become a barrier to justice, in particular for women who are involved in domestic violence, sexual violence, right? It's become a barrier to justice, and then nobody's talking about it. Carl, I come into you right now, and I don't understand why, right? Because the Police Staff Association is a big enough matter that we should be talking about it. The Staff Association and how it appears to operate like a union, despite restrictions on officers organizing like a union. Let's go to the caller. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Erin, I wasn't finished.
Yeah, I know, but Bremen, I have to make sure that you don't prejudice your own case by,
I understood what you're saying.
Okay.
But what I am saying is this. I don't think I should be going through that situation over and over and paying over and over and continue having the problem, and nobody, there has nothing in place whereby the situation should be dealt with. But if I go and take matters into my own hand,
Then
they
you
grab me and throw me in the cell.
right, you become a vigilante.
You
But
see?
but essentially the system is saying you have to take matters into your own hands if you want justice.
They're joking. They're joking. That is not fair.
I agree, Bremen.
Okay, see, the thing is, something should have been in place to deal with situation as such, because it makes me angry, and it causes me to get some ill feelings towards some of those people that are responsible, because that's being nasty.
Thank you, Bremen. I got you. You've emphasized the point, and I'm going to re-emphasize it, right? The frustration drives distrust with the state and its systems and with the individuals responsible for administering the systems of the state, right? So today is the 26th of November, the 63rd anniversary of women's suffrage in the Bahamas. I am looking through the paper to see if we had any events yesterday to mark the celebration. I'm looking to see if there is a statement in the paper today drawing members of the public to various public, state organized activities about the 63rd anniversary. I'm looking through the paper. Let me find a letter to the editor. There's always something delicious in the letter to the editor. All by-election talk, except for no plan, no skills, no progress. Bahamas' human capital time bomb. That's also a women's issue. Let's check today's Tribune. The numbers to call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720. Headlines in today's Tribune: wife threw acid in face of love rival. Oh boy, that's an issue. Violence against women, important even when women are perpetuating said violence. Bodies of Abaco men killed in Haiti in July returned home. Taxi union warns of escalating industrial action over livery dispute. This one here got me, right? Because taxi cab union, y'all not busy trying to moderate the taxi service generally in the country and focused on causing and compelling taxi drivers, whether they are part of the union or not, to adhere to basic traffic controls like stopping at red lights and not turning right on red in the face of other vehicles, right? Like, y'all ain't busy with that? Are you not concerned about the language that you use? That when you use the words like escalating, right, that you are only driving, perpetuating an already gangster-like culture that exists within taxi drivers? Not all. But so many are out here acting as if a taxi plate authorizes them to ignore all traffic controls. See, at this point, if I were an investigator, I would be investigating whether there's a relationship between the taxi cab union and the police force, because somehow, like, they have a yellow plate, so they stand out when they're doing it, and nobody, I don't see on the road. I am actually now observing police officers ignoring blatant traffic offenses like running red lights behind, in front of, next to the police, right? Ignoring pedestrian crossings, ignoring the right of way, throwing their car up on any sidewalk when they're ready. And yet, we don't see police officers attending to these offenses. That's bold. Y'all have lots of work to do. You focus on delivery, focus on taxi drivers that refuse to adhere to the law. Try that. But it seems like anytime anybody is given access to a vehicle, right, that is more than just an ordinary vehicle, right? It's not a private car, whether it's a large commercial vehicle in Seagrapes Plaza that refuses to stop at stop signs and thinks that people should just know that they're the king of the road, you know, whether it's them, and then you call the company and they don't take general information. They cannot take a complaint unless you have the details of the vehicle involved. And you gotta tell the people, I was too busy trying to avoid an accident. And then what's implied, right? What they don't get is what's implied is that your driver didn't stay on the scene long enough for somebody to gather their details. Yeah? That's what's implied. When people call to give you information and then you say you can't take the information unless you have all the details, what's implied is that your drivers don't stop on the scene long enough to get the details as people are trying to avoid injury and damage to their vehicles. That headline popped out at me. Every day I wonder what is going on in the taxi cab union. It is amazing. Okay. I have a text here that says, Erin, please talk about women's suffrage, that throwing of acid. People need to learn about letting go so they don't become toxic. It's not just that people have to learn about letting go. That's one part of it. Even if you can't let go, people have to learn how to manage their emotions and control their behavior. They're impulsive, right? The impulsivity, the same way people impulsive and when the light turns yellow, like they have an impulse to run it no matter what speed they go in. They don't have an impulse to increase their speed so they could get through the intersection properly, but they got that impulse to run it. All right, so we're going to get to that story in a second. I just want to read this note. There's something in the news. There is something in the news, and I'm going to read it right now, and then we're going to get to that story in the Tribune. So this is what I found online. It's actually like a year old. On July 2nd, 1962, Mrs. Ruby Ann Darling made history as the first woman to register on the 2nd of July and then to vote on the 26th of November in the Bahamas. Her courage helped to usher in a new era of inclusion in our democracy, giving voice to generations of Bahamian women. Throughout her distinguished life of public service as a member of parliament, senator, and now serving as deputy to the governor general, she has remained a shining example of dignity, leadership, and national pride. The Office of the Prime Minister salutes Ruby Ann Darling for her pioneering role and her continued contribution to our country. Again, Mrs. Ruby Ann Darling currently serves as the deputy to the governor general. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. I could hear you, but you can't hear me. Anyway, don't tell the people I hang up on you, because you wasn't there. You hear the music. We're going to the break. When we get back from the break text, I'm going to get right into that story. Wife threw acid in face of love rival. You guys stay tuned. You're on the clock with Erin, Una, Veronica, Corinne, Hasty, Mitchell Green.
I'm talking about the Bahamas.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift of a fresh start with a personal loan at Fidelity. You could win refreshing prizes like a luxurious spa day, John Boat gift certificates, a cruise for two, and more. Make that move to a fresh start today. Call 356-7764. Promotion ends December 19th.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Welcome back to On the Clock. All right, so it's been in the news. I found one article from the 24th of November. That's Monday. Today is Wednesday. National Women's Week launched. This article is on the ZNS website. National Women's Week was officially launched on Sunday, November 23rd, 2025. That's typical. They start on the Sunday with a church service. That's tradition. With a church service at Holy Cross Anglican Church. Their Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Miles LaRota, highlighted the church as a key partner in protecting women and girls against violence, one of the major issues that women face today. Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, Miss. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing?
Hey, quick question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where woman get that from anyway? Throwing hot grits on people. Who was the first woman who ever threw hot grits on someone before? Where did it even stem from?
You want to know? The first.
I have a feeling I don't want to know, but I just have a feeling I want to know.
Good. The first woman who survived like a horrendous beating and raping from her husband, probably in her parents' house with people around her who she's supposed to trust to protect her, even if they don't have to side with her. Like at least they're supposed to step in and protect her from getting mashed up in the head, you know? I imagine that's when it happened first. Yeah.
So I'll get from hot grits to acid, though.
That's a cultural thing, right? And that's about access. Okay, so let's talk.
Hold on.
Let's talk about access. So the reason why it's grits, right? You want to know why? The reason why it's grits is because grits is easier to access than a gun. Bang. The reason why it's grits is that because it is easier for a woman, like the man who is oppressing you, who threatens you and moderates your behavior through the threat of not just violence, extreme violence, right? He's always watching you. He's always watching you because it's a control thing. He got an insecurity, right? He's always watching you, so he can see when a knife is missing. He can see, right, when something big is out of place because that's what he's watching for. But her place is in the kitchen. That's where he's keeper. So it is not out of the ordinary for her to be cooking grits.
Yeah, but Ms.
And that's why grits.
You know how long it takes to make a good pot of grits? Just to do it?
Confused the enemy. We're not promoting violence, but if you wanna ask like where it came from, I imagine that it is a response developed out of a desperation for survival, and that's typically it, hey. And so when we talk about gender-based violence. And I often say that I think that like when you see these extreme impulsive acts and lashing out of extreme violence, that there's trauma there, right? And there's trauma there, and that trauma is about unresolved issues with primary caregivers who tend to be typically female, whether mother, grandmother, sister, auntie, right? Bang. See, when the man is triggered, he reverts to that child within him, right? You're triggered, you revert to the childhood, because that's where the trauma is, and you feel a complete and utter lack of power. Not control, but power. You feel powerless, as you felt powerless in the face of the abuse that you suffered from those primary caregivers, whether it was physical, sexual, emotional or psychological abuse, right? So we're not making light of this very, very, I say, nasty and dangerous practice, right? But if we ask, well, where did it come from? It's a response, right, that was derived at a time when that was likely one of the only strategies that a woman had available to her. Because we're talking about a time when you, a right-thinking woman, after being hit, after experiencing domestic violence, say just twice, from your partner, and you, because the first time you done start packing your bag and working on an exit plan, you know. The second time now, the bag is at the door, you grab it, you get on your bike, you start walking, we're talking a little while back, you start walking that settlement road, to walk to your dad, because you say, ain't no man gonna lick me, and my daddy never licked me, or only my daddy licked me. And then you get to that house, And when you get to the house, you realize they waiting for you because the people them done send message that they see you walking home and they probably know why. And then they don't open the door for you, letting it be known that they will not endorse you walking away from your partner, even if that partner was prepared to take your life, right? And so I imagine that it is a strategy derived out of desperation. No, I ain't going to tell them that text. I know that breaches the line of, yeah. Okay, so let's get back to this ZNS article. Research from United Nations Women shows that 1 out of every 3 women will experience gender-based violence in their life. With this in mind, the ministry's Department of Gender and Family Affairs launched National Women's Week under the theme, Women, Let's Collaborate. Minister LaRota also pointed to men and boys as key allies in protecting women, noting that the formation of the men's desk in DGFA shows the progress being made to empower all genders, promoting equity and peace. When women enter key leadership positions, they are able to offer more insight into their plight, which helps shape policy and administrative decisions that empower them. In the House of Assembly, although women make up less than 20% representation, Minister LaRota noted that their voices are strong and influential. Highlights of National Women's Week include a sexual harassment forum on Friday, November 28th at 11 a.m. to be held at the ministry's headquarters on John F. Kennedy Drive. A Girl Come and Get It community outreach initiative will be held at the ministry's headquarters on Saturday, November the 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Special care packages will be given to women who need it most, and other women are encouraged to attend to mentor and inspire others. And now the article said women are encouraged to bring out their children, right? Families, women, encourage your husbands and your families or your baby daddy or your significant other or your cousin or your uncle, right, to come out and enjoy the event, the activities, and the festivities. So that's National Women's Week. The church service was held at Holy Cross Anglican Church on Friday. That's Friday of this week. A sexual harassment forum at 11 a.m. held at the ministry's headquarters on JFK. You see that 11 a.m. time? One thing about the Ministry of Social Services, they will have refreshments. And I'm not making fun. This is the middle of the day. This is like when people take their lunch break, right? So they will accommodate people by ensuring that at the very least you could keep your blood sugar up. And I always appreciate that about the ministry. All right, so let's get to this headline in the Tribune. Again, the numbers to call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. And then I have this quote for you from Dame Doris Johnson. It is one of my favorite quotes, so favorite that I'm wearing it on my shirt today. It says, quote, "We seek no compromise. There is no alternative. We abhor any delaying action." That's an excerpt of the speech by Dame Doris Johnson to members of the House of Assembly, January 19th, 1959. So here we go. Wife threw acid in face of love rival. Court of Appeal rejects woman's appeal for leniency on sentence. A Grand Bahama woman who launched a devastating acid attack that left a suspected love rival blind and permanently disfigured has failed in her bid to win a lighter sentence after the Court of Appeal refused to reduce the 7-year maximum imposed by a magistrate who called the case one of the, quote, worst of the worst, close quotes. Stephanie Brannon was left in agony with flesh dripping off her face after Pandora McKenzie threw a metal cup of a corrosive substance into her face after her husband had taken Miss Brannon to their home to help convince his wife they were not having an affair. Miss Brannon described the pain as feeling as if, quote, her entire face was on fire, close quotes, with the liquid searing down her throat, nose, chest, arms, ears, and hair. Her sight was immediately impaired. McKenzie's husband, Edward DeVoe, testified that when he entered the room where what was described as the quote, cruel and horrific, close quotes, attack took place, the scene was almost unrecognizable. Miss Brannon stood frozen, quote, as a statue, close quote, he said, with, quote, her flesh dripping off of her face, close quotes. He told the court that McKenzie was standing over the injured woman, quote, brandishing a cutlass, close quotes, as if preparing to strike. He tackled her to disarm her. The court heard that DeVoe had collected Miss Brannon in his bus and had taken her to the property for what was supposed to be a clarifying conversation. Instead, the court found Miss Brannon walked into a trap. I'm going to continue reading, jump ahead. McKenzie was charged with causing dangerous harm and stood trial in the magistrate's court after the attack in November 2020. After assessing the evidence, Magistrate Simone Brown convicted her and imposed a statutory maximum of 7 years. During sentencing, the magistrate said the injuries were, quote, cruel and horrific, close quotes, adding that McKenzie had, quote, passed a sentence upon the victim which is worse than death, close quotes. She noted that the victim, quote, has to live every day not being able to see, close quotes, can no longer work, and relies entirely on the assistance of others. She rejected McKenzie's claims of self-defense, pointing to her attempt to wield a cutlass moments after throwing the acid. Calling the case, quote, one of worst of the worst, close quotes, the magistrate said it, quote, warrants the maximum penalty, close quotes. McKenzie appealed, arguing that the sentence was excessive given her age, lack of prior convictions, and expression of remorse. Her counsel argued that the magistrate erred in calling the case, quote, worst of the worst, close quotes, claiming the phrase is traditionally used in the context of death penalty jurisprudence. Stick a pin. That's very, very interesting argument there, because that's where we know it from, but would it be improper to categorize in a particular category, right? Anyway, very interesting. Bar Association, why y'all don't have a public conversation about that, please? The Court of Appeal rejected every argument. Justices Turner, Smith, and Fraser said the magistrate properly weighed both aggravating and mitigating factors, acted within her statutory powers, and exercised her discretion reasonably. They stressed that while maximum sentences are rare, they are appropriate for, quote, the most serious incidents, close quotes. And this case squarely fits that category. The court also distinguished the matter from Dashani Gibson, a recent 3-year case involving a corrosive substance cited by McKenzie's lawyer. In Gibson, in that case, the injuries, while serious, did not involve permanent blindness or full body chemical burns. In contrast, the judges said McKenzie's attack caused catastrophic lifelong harm, and the manner in which it was carried out placed it among the most severe cases possible before a magistrate. The judges noted that the magistrate did take into account that this was McKenzie's first offense and that she expressed remorse. Still, they concluded there was no error in principle and held that the 7-year sentence, quote, would meet the circumstances of this case, close quotes. All right, so the texter asked me to read it. The text wants me to read it in the context of the celebration of women's suffrage. We're going to talk about it like, is this gender-based violence? I think it is. Erin, I'm interested to know what the crisis center in Zonta will say about this attack on this injured woman, or will they remain silent? Because we all know that violence against women and children cannot be tolerated, especially during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. All right, so Texter, I appreciate what you're saying. This is an appeal, right? So the matter went to court a little while ago. I don't know if it's on their radar. I will say this, on Sunday evening, Zonta New Providence branch held a forum in honor of whether it's National Women's Week or 16 Days of Global Activism, looking at violence against women, in particular digital violence. I wonder if it was referenced at that talk. There should be a recording of that. That will be interesting. But of course, I think there should be a statement, Texter. Of course, there should be a statement. So the question is this gender-based violence? I think it is gender-based gender-based violence. I may be wrong. When we get back from the break, I can tell you why I think it may be gender-based violence. You guys stay tuned. The Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Oh, and call in if you notice celebrations happening somewhere, some government office, some school. Let me know. We'll be right back.
At Cleveland Clinic, you set your course, not cancer. So when your journey takes an unexpected turn, you seek out the experts who've conquered it before, and you forge new paths to help fight cancers. For every route to a cure, for every care in the world. See how we're innovating cancer care at Cleveland Clinic today.
Are you searching for something new? Something exciting? Your dream job in paradise? Well, look no further. Royal Beach Club Paradise Island is hiring. Join a dynamic group of passionate hospitality professionals, craft unforgettable moments, and thrive in a vibrant, welcoming atmosphere. Play your part in shaping the future of our team while growing your own career every day. Bring your energy, your passion, and your creativity to a workplace that's as dynamic and fun as you are. At Royal Beach Club Paradise Island, the opportunities don't just exist. They're limitless. So are you ready to find your perfect fit? Visit Royal Beach Club at paradiseisland.com/career today and step into a world of exciting possibilities.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. You're on the clock with Erin, Una, Veronica, Green. I love it. Okay, so yes, I think that is an instance of gender-based violence. And let me tell you why I think it is. I could be wrong. There are experts. In fact, one of our local gender and policy experts is Alicia Wallace. You should check out her column in today's Nassau Tribune, Changing Gender Discrimination and Violence, a column including a schedule of events for Equality Bahamas' 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Okay, so it is gender-based violence, this instance where the woman threw acid into the face of a woman she suspected of being her partner's lover, or they're involved in some sort of tryst. There's this cultural thing that's going on where you have a contractual relationship with your partner, but the violence is meted out against the person that you have no relationship with, no contractual relationship with, right? Often in these instances, and you see it anecdotally, you say, why do women is always go after the other woman and not go after their cheating partner, right? Why is it that in these instances, typically women tend to respond in violence towards the side piece, let's call it that for the loose term, as opposed to the person they have a contractual relationship with? I think it may qualify as gender-based violence. These groups act very quickly to respond. If a man threw that acid, they would be picketing in Rawson Square. But since a woman threw the acid, I'll wait on their response. They are so hesitant to provide. Text, think about this while you're thinking about that. You know how in the States, white people of European descent like to say, but y'all don't ever talk about black-on-black crime. Don't ever talk about black-on-black crime, right? When people are trying to talk about racism. Yeah. Think about that while we're thinking about this. It says, Erin, are you encouraging women now to attack men by asking the question? I don't know what that means, Texter. Clarify that for me. Because I am encouraging people to not hurt people. I'm encouraging people, right, to take time. I know it's difficult, especially you got children. You can't take time to use the bathroom by yourself. I understand that, right? But we have to figure out how to moderate our behavior. We have to figure out how to control ourselves. We have to figure out how to do what we know we ought to do when we know we ought to do it. We have to stop relying on things like, she made me hit her. He made me throw the grits on him. No, he didn't. He didn't make you do anything. Even for women who are suffering violence in the home, right? It's not fair to say, he made me throw hot grits on him. What is fair to say is that I ran out of solutions. I have turned everywhere and could not figure out what to do. And in the moment when I thought a threat of violence, when I thought violence was imminent, and you say, but the grits was cooking a little while, Miss Green. I eat grits every morning. So no, we're not encouraging violence. The text goes on to say, you just asked the question, why the woman don't attack the man who is scheming as opposed to the third party. Texter, don't do that. This is not, let me be fair. This is not some juvenile trolling back and forth. I pointed out that typically, in instances where one partner finds out that the other partner is cheating, when it is a woman finding out that they're female or male, doesn't matter, the gender of the partner is cheating, they typically respond and attack the person they don't have a contractual relationship with, right? Because we contract, we say, you could do this, I could do that. You be faithful to me and I be faithful to you. Those are the terms of the contract. Producer, let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Miss Green.
Good day.
Hello.
Hi, good day, good morning.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. In these kind of cases, not just because the lady lost her sight, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person could have been paralyzed or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or out of their mind.
Or needed a breathing tube because of the injury to the throat.
But in these kind of cases, if I was the judge, right,
Mm-hmm.
or I want to encourage, or ask the question if the judge has the power, right,
Mm-hmm.
is there a law to make that person who hurt that person that way? Like, how the judge even express it, which we agree that, like, the woman for life now, she can't see or whatever. She should be able to not take care of her, but provide some kind
restitution, economic payment to support her.
Life.
Yes.
For life, you know. And should we, us who hearing the story, should we expect, knowing that the husband sound like he give evidence that the wife had a cutlass over the lady after doing it?
Uh-huh.
Should we expect to think that maybe the husband now is with this lady?
No, no, that's not that. We don't know. We don't know.
But that wouldn't be sad, though.
No.
That wouldn't be sad if it happened that way.
Because sometimes people who experience trauma together, like they're the only people who know what they went through, right?
Let's say that wasn't true what the wife was thinking about the woman and she was innocent.
Yeah.
Or even if it was true.
Well,
knowing that the husband could testify in court and be honest enough to say what happened, wouldn't be wrong to think that maybe now the whole situation, knowing the situation the lady in now being blind and can't see, disfigured and all of that.
No, man, no. He doesn't have an obligation to be in relationship with her.
But
right?
if you know what they have an obligation to for him and his wife, maybe he could be involved too to help to provide. Would you say restitution?
Yeah, restitution and support.
For the rest of her life.
Yeah,
for the rest of her life.
Yeah, to support.
It shouldn't just be 7 years. And I don't think 7 years could ever. I just wonder if that judge could have given more than 7 years.
No, that's the maximum.
Or do some kind of restitution.
No.
7 years is a joke. They got to come out.
So what you do is you write Parliament, right? And you say to Parliament, in this case, we observed that the judge issued the maximum sentence available, and we appreciate that, but what we don't appreciate is that we feel the maximum sentence is not sufficient in a matter like this, right? So that's what you have to do. But you don't critique the judge because the judge can only follow the sentencing guidelines.
The judge need more power, so it could be more than just 7 years. The person blind, you take their sight away.
Absolutely.
7 years is a joke. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller.
Pardon me for calling back.
It's okay.
But it really is a joke, you know? And the thing is, somebody going to throw grits in somebody's face. The person even can't rub it off. It's so hot. The person braining up. That's cold, man.
Like I say, it's a strategy developed out of desperation.
Erin.
Yeah.
We are a young country.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to grow up our children to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And you have women who can do things as such as,
I know, Bremen. I know. I feel the same way.
It's cold.
I believe you. I feel the same way. We got women who do that, and we got men who do that too, right? And so we have to work on ourselves, on each other, and help each other, men and women together. And I think that's the thrust of the theme for this year's National Women's Week, right? Women, let's collaborate. LaRoda also pointed to men and boys as key allies in protecting women. When I first read it, I was like, yeah, women, let's collaborate with each other, but the work is also about women and men collaborating together. Thank you, Bremen, for re-emphasizing just how, nasty, pernicious is a word. I can find it. I got to check out all the dictionaries. Dangerous, that hot grits situation is. Okay, here's a positive headline and then some other headlines. While I was looking at ZNS, I did find this other headline. I thought it was very positive, and in light of yesterday's show with Teen Challenge, I wanted to read it out loud. National Parenting Program, Restoring Hope to Communities, One Family at a Time. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, Mrs. Fedra Ramming Turnquest, told participants of the Department of Rehabilitative Welfare Services Parenting, Education, and Anger Management Program that their successful completion of the program, quote, proves that there is actually hope for us to build a stronger nation, close quotes. I think the theme for the topic at that event, strengthening the family, restoring hope to the nation, held under the auspices of the National Parenting Program as a part of the series of activities held in observance of Rehabilitation Month 2025. The Parenting, Education, and Anger Management course provides information and the resource tools to help parents nurture their families, improve communication with children, and become more involved in their children's education. The program also provides specialized classes that assist parents in better managing anger while also providing a supportive, non-judgmental environment where parents can freely express themselves and seek encouragement. See, that's a space where you should be safe to say things like, look here, sometimes I will reach out and strike that child because that's what my parents used to do and my grandparents used to do and I used to see all the time. But I trying hard. I working at it. You need a place where you could express what others may feel are deficiencies, knowing that because you're working on it, we're not going to judge you for it, man. All right, here are some other headlines equally important. Man who got teen pregnant pleads guilty 25th of November. A man who fathered a child with an underage, quote, girlfriend, close quotes, on Monday, pleaded guilty to multiple counts of unlawful sexual intercourse. Jaquil Barry, 22, admitted guilt without a formal plea agreement when he appeared before Justice Renee McKay. They requested a social inquiry report to assist the judge in arriving at an appropriate sentence. Barry began an illegal sexual relationship with a 12-year-old schoolgirl. The girl became pregnant as a result and has a 2-year-old daughter with Barry. Look here, it's illegal at 12. Trust me, at 7, it could never, ever, ever, ever. That's not what the minister said. At the same time, none of us are ever going to accept that a 7-year-old can consent because all of us know that a 7-year cannot even fully grasp what consent means, let alone the implications of the acts of sexual intimacy. Here's a quick, I got 30 seconds. Okay, here you go. Text, I'm glad I looked at you. The texter says, permit me to send a plea to all women to act like civilized adults, to limit their sexual partners to one and to raise their children with decency. Thank you. Happy 16 days of activism. Texter, for you are lucky that my producer today don't play with me. And when that thing hit 11, it got cut. So all I could say to you is listen. Within what you have said, there is some value. I don't like the way that you said it, but I'm not going to diminish the need for conversation. I ain't saying what you're saying, but we should talk. Thank you, Texter, for always engaging. Thank you guys for engaging. Today, we're all out of time. Stay tuned. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Neary is up next.
We could win gold. Then lift up your heads to the rising sun. Our heroes left us a race to run. Let's protect our sovereignty. Yes, together in harmony.